Welcome to Hoystory on Air, Season 2, Episode 6. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 19th, Monday, 2026. Welcome to the show. Doing two stories today. There's lots of videos here, so I have to mute my mic when I play a video, and sometimes I forget to unmute it, and I'm getting better at that. But if you see some cuts later on in the video after I'm done with it, it's because I forgot to turn the mic back on. One of the subjects I wanted to talk about today, it's going to have to happen tomorrow or the next day or sometime in the future, hopefully very soon, is the situation in Iran. It has gotten worse. Tens of thousands have been killed by the regime. It sounds like they're bringing in fighters from Iraq and whatnot to massacre their own civilians. Trump's red line has been crossed, and he doesn't appear to be doing squat about it. What Trump does appear to be interested in is Greenland. This is the headline from the New York Times. Trump announces new European tariffs in Greenland standoff. Allies outraged. The president escalated his drive to take charge of the Danish territory, targeting Denmark and 7 other European countries with a 10% rate. From the article, President Trump is now claiming that one reason he is pushing to acquire Greenland is he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize, according to a text message he sent to Norway's Prime Minister over the weekend. Jonas Gahr Store, Norway's leader, received the text message on Sunday, an official in the Prime Minister's office said on Monday. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America, Mr. Trump wrote in the message, which was first published by PBS. This is insane. It is insane. We've already got troops on Greenland. We've got a small base. We used to have many more bases on Greenland at the height of the Cold War, especially. We have treaties. We can put as many troops and whatnot there that we want, really. Norway's not going to care about any. It reminds me of one of the things my grandmother used to say, and it was on a different subject, but I think it applies here. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? It's why take over Greenland? There's no reason to. If they wanted it, if Denmark wanted to sell it, okay, fine. Not opposed to that sort of thing. But this idea that give it to us now, or we'll get on it for a little further. So this is over at National Review. Andrew Studiford, Greenland digging an even deeper hole. From that Truth Social post that Trump put up, starting February 1st, all the above-mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States. On June 1st, it'll be increased to 25%. The tariff will be due and payable until such time a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. So much for affordability, so much for allies, so much for national sovereignty. Yes. This is unseemly, to say the least. This is embarrassing. This is stupid. It'd be nice if someone told him that. Someone made the comment that, like the first term a president gets, they get their A team, and then people leave and they get their B team, their second term, going in their second term. And if the vice president succeeds the president, well, they get kind of the C team, the third stringers. Trump never really got the A stringers because he wasn't your typical Republican the first time he went into office. He got mostly B team. Then he lost, and now it seems like the only people around him are the C team or worse. I used to have a lot of respect for J.D. Vance. That has evaporated when he decided to become MAGA, which seems nowadays MAGA requires you losing part of your brain, like has to be turned off or trashed or something. But this Kiel Institute for World Economy came out with a brief. It says America's own goal. That is a soccer term. That is when you screw up and you kick the ball into your own net. Who pays the tariffs? They've got a report out. Came out today, I believe. 2025 U.S. tariffs are an own goal. Foreign exporters absorb only 4% of the tariff burden. The remaining 96% is passed through to U.S. buyers. U.S. customs revenue surged by approximately $200 billion, not the $18 trillion that Trump was touting a few weeks ago. Number made up purely out of thin air that no one tries to defend. It's a joke. Tax paid almost entirely by Americans. Indian export customs data validates our findings. When facing U.S. tariffs, Indian exporters maintained their prices and reduced shipments. They did not eat the tariff. U.S. tariff policy is Sheriff Bart in Blazing Saddles. It is him holding, this is, don't make me kill myself. Don't make me shoot me. But Trump does that and pulls the trigger all the time. I mean, this is insane. We can hope. And again, this is something that the Congress could solve immediately if any of them had backbones. None of them do. The Republicans don't have backbones when the Republicans in the White House. Democrats don't have backbones when the Democrats in the White House. We seem to really want a king, which is sad. This is back to Andrew Studdifer's piece. He says, in effect, these sovereign nations are being threatened with a fine for sending a very small, and all these nations have sent troops. I think the British sent one guy. They sent a liaison of some sort. For sending a small number of troops to an ally's territory with the agreement of that ally. Trump writes, this force has been sent to Greenland, a sacred piece of land. It's not, for purposes unknown. In reality, he says, this tiny presence is designed to act as a symbolic tripwire to deter a forceful U.S. annexation of Greenland. If you're going to disobey a direct order because you think it's illegal, invading Greenland, I'd say that's one you'd go for. Stand on that one. Sadly, I don't think the seditious six or whatever, the Democrats who put out that video earlier this year, I don't think any one of them have had the cojones to say this. It's always something amorphous and we want to preen and posture and not take a stand, take a stand but not take a real stand. And then there's Republicans. Ted Cruz went on Maria Bartiromo's Sunday morning, I think it's called Sunday Morning Future show. Maria doesn't impress me really as a journalist. I mean, yes, she's done better than I have, but principles, asking tough questions, standing up for, this is not something she does, at least often enough, and certainly not with Republicans. Ted Cruz, when he ran for president in 2016, I was a supporter of his. Not anymore. I think when Trump, I'm not going to say slandered, insulted is the word, insulted Cruz's wife, Cruz should have invited him out behind the hall and punched him in the nose. And then maybe Cruz would have gotten even more votes. Maybe Cruz would have been president. But again, lack of cojones. So here is Cruz on Sunday Morning Future show with a little history and ignoring the elephant in the room. Let's take a listen.
When it comes to Greenland, I want to commend President Trump for being single-mindedly focused on America first, on U.S. economic interest and U.S. national security interest. I believe it is overwhelmingly in America's national interest to acquire Greenland. A year ago, as chairman of the Senate Commerce Committee, I chaired a hearing on the benefits to the United States of America of acquiring Greenland. Now, some folks in the press, they clutch their pearls and they say, well, what do you mean acquiring Greenland? How could that happen? Look, the whole history of America has been a history of acquiring new lands and new territories. Whether you go back to Thomas Jefferson making the Louisiana Purchase, about half of the United States of America today, or you go back to America purchasing Alaska from Russia. You want to talk about, at the time they called it Seward's Folly, it turned out to be an extraordinarily consequential purchase. Greenland has massive rare earth minerals and critical minerals. There are enormous economic benefits to America, but it's also, like Alaska, it is located on the Arctic, which is a major theater for potential military conflict with either Russia or China. It's also critical for the Golden Dome and defending America from potential missile strikes. I commend the president for focusing on American national security.
Because where it is geographically can help stop any missile fire coming from adversaries like Russia and China. Senator, it's great to catch up. We so appreciate your time. We'll be watching you.
That's something that you can... Okay, it's got rare earth minerals. You think that American companies can't make deals with Norway and Greenland to exploit those? There's nothing stopping them. We're allies, or at least we were till you guys went on this joke of we're going to take over the island. From a defense standpoint, we don't need to own Greenland to put bases. I mean, we had at least a half dozen, probably closer to a dozen bases on Greenland during the Cold War. We can reconstitute those anytime we want. We've got treaties that say we can. It'd be nice if we had some Republicans with a backbone who would go up there to the White House and tell Trump to knock it off. Because frankly, and after the January 6th thing, I was all for them. You know, I questioned a little bit whether they had the power to impeach Trump after he'd left office on January 20th, noon. But I was all for impeaching him so he couldn't run again before the 20th. If Congress had gotten its butt in gear and cared enough about it, we wouldn't be here now. We'd probably have President DeSantis, which would be a million times better than what we're dealing with here. But I don't know how far the crazy's got to go. Because when he was, last year when he was just, making, comments about it, I'm like, Trump's just a blowhard. And he is a blowhard. But at this point, somebody needs to tell him to stop. It's obviously not going to be Ted Cruz. And maybe you lose MAGA and maybe you don't get reelected, but Trump's going to cause us even more problems than we deserve. And we deserve some problems. Again, I don't care whether you elect Republicans or you elect Democrats. The voters get what they vote for, good and hard. And this kind of crazy is not helping. So I don't know what else to say. Trump needs to someone. There are no adults in the room. Some adult in the room needs to tell him to stop. Thanks for watching this clip from the Hoystory On Air broadcast. I encourage you to follow me on Substack, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I want to thank you for your support, and please feel free to watch another video or 2 or 3.